And we have joining us also in Washington, talking about diaspora engagement and various other models, exploring how to engage with diasporas, specifically with a focus on the Tunisian American community and Tunisian diaspora, but we'll be talking on a much broader level about diaspora engagement in general. Mohamed Malouche is with the Tunisian American Young Professionals, which is an amazing diaspora network organizing currently a meetup in Tunis in partnership with Microsoft Tunis, and they also have one happening in Belgium. So thank you to the Tunisian community for their enthusiasm around the MENA Social Good conversation. We are in the process of finally getting Mr. Mohamed mic'd up as he's in the studio here with us. But do continue to tweet your ideas and thoughts to us, and I will share them as much as I can with Mohamed. So welcome, Mohamed.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And so we met through diaspora work. You guys are very active and have built a wonderful diaspora network for the Tunisian community that is blossoming. Before we get into your specific case study, because I want to use that because you guys have been able to gain momentum and traction, and a lot of diaspora groups are not able to. What do you see the value in diaspora engagement actually is?
Well, I think the diaspora brings obviously, its skills, its expertise, its experience. It brings its connection. The networks here, the network there, which enables linkages that potentially couldn't have happened if, people are sort of left on their own. It's funny, but the diaspora, in my mind, brings something that's pretty unique, which is sort of this dual understanding of the realities of the ground in countries like Tunisia, the difficulties, the challenges, the constraints, and then sort of the art of the possible that we have witnessed here, for example, in the US. And trying to reconcile those two things is really sort of the challenge we've been dealing with. One of the things that I think diaspora in general, and not the Tunisian only, could claim as a key differentiator is the ability to connect with people because we share the same culture, the same social norms, the same dialects. We are able to essentially set the basis or the baseline for a trusted relationship. And that other groups probably have more difficulty doing. We're in it for the long term, diaspora, because we have that emotional connection, and that's not going to go away. So, unlike somebody who comes and tries to support for 2 or 3 years, we're in there because we're passionate about it, because we have an emotional connection with our countries of origin, and especially in times of difficulties. Tunisia, in particular, right now is going through a difficult time. And so it's a natural feeling from people like us to want to help, and not only financially, but want to help with those skills, the expertise, want to be part of sort of the transformation, and want to give back at the end of the day.
And well, I mean, we, with Al Mubadara, have experienced, as you know, we are a diaspora-based organization, which is how we first came in touch with TAYP and the work that you guys do. We're more pan-Arab focused, so we work across different communities to build more public affairs and public awareness around the role that diasporas can play. But what we're noticing is there's pockets where some diasporas are a lot more fragmented with their engagement, and it's a lot harder to organize. Some are very organized. You guys have an example from most of the diaspora groups that we've seen of groups that have been able to effectively organize. What is it about the way you guys are cultivating these relationships with your diaspora group that sets you apart from, say, the Lebanese diaspora, which has a vast diaspora of many millions in Latin America that are not able to harness as many diasporas to really engage and commit to giving back?
Well, I think two things. First of all, size actually helped us. The fact that we were a small diaspora in the United States in particular makes it easier for us to perhaps unite around common themes. The second thing is the diaspora here, we thought about it after the revolution. Where do we invest our time? Where could we be most efficient? And the answer to that was, if we were going to spread sort of our efforts into thinking about humanitarian work and political work and social work, we weren't going to be able to be effective. And so we decided to focus on economic matters, because that is basically what our skills were about. So we focused on investment, promoting essentially Tunisia's value proposition in the US, and we focused on entrepreneurship, i.e. supporting and mentoring young entrepreneurs, because we feel that we owe to the young generation, they are our future. They are really ought to be our partners today. And so we've been trying to focus really on how to support them and connect them and sustain them as much as possible with our understanding of the art of the possible here, but also with the possibility of widening their aperture and making them think about their ideas on a more global way. Essentially, trying to sort of not think about sort of their ideas only focusing on sort of the local markets, but trying to expand it globally, trying to take advantage of the linkages, the partnerships, the funding opportunities that exist out there. And so we've been very focused, I think was one of the key areas that made us successful. And to tell you the truth, I mean, Tunisia got a lot of attention after the revolution. And so we've had a boost in a way, and we've been trying to, now the question is to how to perpetuate that boost. And so now that sort of the transition is a little bit harder than anticipated, the challenge is to really get it going. And we've been able to do it because we've been able to gain traction on very specific focus areas that allowed us to be, to make quick wins.
And I think that you guys have also experienced an element of I think the size and the unity and the fact that you guys were able to build this after the revolution, but in a constructive way. I mean, you're looking at the Syrian community is currently trying to aggressively organize this diaspora, and it's a very splintered community. Mm-hmm. The diaspora component that I would like to focus on, that a lot of communities that are really attempting to engage their diasporas, is this disconnect where you have an enthusiasm from the diasporas to reconnect, but then you have the kind of the savior syndrome where people on the receiving end say, you don't know our region's problems. You're from here, mm-hmm. but you're third, fourth generation, you don't live here, you don't really know it. Do you guys experience that?
Well, we haven't really experienced that because I think the fundamental angle of our approach was to try to not be coming sort of forward as a lesson giver, but more as a partners to local organization, local institutions, and try to sort of help where we can, but certainly not with the idea that we were smarter than others or sort of had sort of a set of lessons that were miraculously going to solve the problems. We came as it, very pragmatically with some ideas around sort of how we can support some pockets of support areas. And in essence, I think we've been trying to help a few entrepreneurs become success stories. We haven't been able to try to sort of make it a massive engagement. We were in the business of trying to show that success is possible without political connections, without unfair advantage. And so that's why we worked with 10, 15 selected entrepreneurs to really try to get them, confident in their own abilities and try to give them the full-fledged sort of experience and expertise and skills and connections of our own diaspora folks here and get them to become success stories to really send a strong message to all the others.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much for that great insight, and we definitely look forward to watching your initiative grow and then hopefully having others be able to reach out to your network and learn from how you guys are effectively organizing and building that focus, mm-hmm. which is the struggle that a lot of different, not only community groups, but institutions, diaspora-based institutions in this country face, is lack of focus. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much for your insights on that. And
let me say one final word. We've learned so much from other diaspora. There are examples out there of successful diaspora, in outside of MENA. We worked with the Chilean diaspora. We learned from the Irish diaspora, and we're very much eager to support the other diasporas as well, in particular the Syrians, you know, everybody who's trying to structure themselves, we'd like to help.
There you have it, guys. Reach out, we'll be in touch, and we look forward to hopefully working with you guys in some other capacity soon.